What if a single player was so unstoppable, the NBA had no choice but to change the rules just to slow them down? Sounds crazy, right? But it's happened again and again throughout basketball history. The league we watch today, it wasn't built by committees and boardrooms. It was shaped by legends on the court, players so dominant, so revolutionary that the only way to even the playing field was to rewrite the rulebook. Today, we're breaking down every NBA legend who forced the league's hand and changed basketball forever. Wilt Chamberlain, the blueprint breaker. Let's start with the original rule bender, Wilt Chamberlain. Wilt was a force of nature. He blocked shots above the rim. He tipped in missed shots like he was floating in midair. His free throw routine looked like a track event. He'd leap from behind the line and dunk his own miss. The NBA had no idea what to do with him. So they started changing the rules. They made offensive goaltending illegal. They doubled the width of the lane from 6 to 12 feet so Wilt couldn't just camp under the basket. They even changed free throw rules. You couldn't cross the line until the ball hit the rim, stopping Wilt from rebounding and dunking his own shot. But here's the thing. No matter what rules they threw at him, Wilt kept breaking records. 100 points in a game, leading the league in rebounds, even leading in assists. He wasn't just dominant, he was the reason the NBA started learning how to contain greatness. George Mikan, the first giant. But before Wilt, there was George Mikan, the NBA's very first dominant big man. At 6'10", he towered over everyone. He bullied defenders under the rim and made the game almost unfair. The league's answer? The Mikan rule. They widened the lane from 6 to 12 feet, an early attempt to pull big men away from the basket. Still, Mikan's dominance caused another huge change. In one infamous game, the score was 19-18. Teams literally stalled with the ball just to keep it away from him. The NBA knew they had a problem. The solution? The 24-second shot clock and the offensive 3-second rule. Suddenly, the game sped up, became more balanced and way more exciting for fans. Rules we take for granted today, they exist because of Shaquille O'Neal, the Diesel dilemma. Fast forward to the late 90s and along comes Shaquille O'Neal, the Diesel. Shaq was so strong, so explosive, he broke actual backboard. Defenders had two choices, get dunked on or foul him. That's how Hack-a-Shaq was born. Teams figured it was safer to send him to the free throw line than let him destroy the rim. Eventually, the NBA stepped in. They added a rule. If you foul away from the ball in the last 2 minutes, it's an automatic free throw plus possession. No more endless Hack-a-Shaq ending. They also introduced the defensive 3-second rule. You couldn't just stick a big man in the paint to clog things up against Shaq anymore. And even arenas had to adjust. Backboards and rims were reinforced to withstand his power. Shaq didn't just change the game, he changed the infrastructure. Allen Iverson, the culture shifter. Not every rule change came from size. Some came from style. Enter Allen Iverson. Iverson's crossover was so nasty, so unguardable, refs started calling him for carrying because defenders literally couldn't react to his hesitation. And it wasn't just on the court. Off the court, Iverson's streetwear fashion, chains, baggy clothes, fitted caps, shook the NBA's image. The league responded with the infamous 2005 dress code, forcing players into suits and professional attire. Iverson wasn't just crossing up defenders, he was crossing up culture. Charles Barkley, the post-up problem. In the 1990s, Charles Barkley loved backing defenders down. Sometimes he'd dribble with his back to the basket for 15 seconds straight. It was slow and it was frustrating and it killed ball movement. So, the NBA created the 5-second back-to-the-basket rule. If you dribble with your back to the hoop for more than 5 seconds inside the paint, you lose the ball. Thanks to Barkley, the league forced more speed, flow, and teamwork into the game. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the dunk ban. Now here's a wild one. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, then Lou Alcindon, was so dominant in college, the NCAA banned dunking from 1967 to 1976. That's right, they banned the dunk. So what did Kareem do? He invented the skyhook, the single most unstoppable shot in basketball history. Sometimes when you try to stop greatness, all you do is help it evolve. Zaza Pachulia, the landing space. Not every rule came from legend. In 2017, Zaza Pachulia's dangerous closeout on Kawhi Leonard in the playoffs changed the NBA forever. Kawhi landed on his foot, got injured, and the league knew they had to protect shooters. The Zaza rule was born. Now, referees review closeouts on video, and if you invade a shooter's landing space, it's a flagrant foul. One reckless play led to permanent protection for players league-wide. Hand Harden, the foul drawer. Hand Harden turned drawing fouls into an art form. Step backs, arm hooks, flailing jump shots. He mastered the gray area of the rulebook. Year after year, he led the league in free throw attempts. Fans hated it, defenders hated it, and eventually the league had enough. In 2021, the NBA cracked down. Non-basketball moves, no more calls. Harden's numbers dipped, and the game sped up for everyone. Harden's legacy isn't just step-backs, it's forcing referees to rethink how fouls are called. Kevin Durant, the rip-through revolution. Kevin Durant made the rip-through famous. Sweep the ball up through defenders' arms, and suddenly it's free throw. Durant used it so often refs had no choice but to change. Today, rip-throughs are just common fouls unless you're actually shooting. No more free trips to the line. Reggie Miller, the leg kick. Reggie Miller loved kicking out his legs on jump shots, baiting defenders into fouls. For years it worked. Until 2012, when the NBA introduced the Reggie Miller rule. Now, if you kick your legs out unnaturally to draw contact, offensive foul, no free throw. Reggie turned clever trickery into permanent rulebook ink. Michael Jordan and Larry Bird. Offense, defense, and business. Even the biggest icons shaped the league's rules. Michael Jordan was so good in isolation that teams would just clear out and let him go one-on-one. The NBA stepped in with illegal offense rules, forcing more movement and teamwork. Larry Bird changed the game too, but off the court. His contract negotiations inspired the Larry Bird exception, a salary cap rule that lets teams re-sign their own stars even if it pushes them over the cap. In other words, today's super teams era, it wouldn't exist without Bird. From Wilt to Shaq, Iverson to Harden, Jordan to Bird, every era had players who didn't just dominate, they forced the NBA to adapt. From the paint to the perimeter, from fashion to contracts, from dunks to defense, the fingerprints of these legends are still on every single game we watch today. So next time you hear about a new NBA rule, remember, it's not just about strategy. It's about greatness refusing to be contained. And if you want more untold basketball stories, epic what-ifs, and legends who bent reality, make sure you subscribe, hit that bell, and join us as we keep uncovering the history that shaped the game we love. This is NBA history, and it's still being written.